and we preview round 23. We got starting on Friday. Essendon hosting Sydney at Marvel Stadium. Essendon are 10th at $2.38 and Sydney are first at $1.56. Hang on. That's alright. I got Sydney winning. Even though Essendon have to win both their games to even have a sliver of a chance to make the finals, even though it's quite unlikely. But I think Sydney should back it up from last week and win another game and cement top spot. And I think Papley, they're the 2 weeks away. Melican will come back. They don't have that many injuries. Now it's only like McInerney, Melican, Papley. And I think the rest of the team is fit and healthy. So I think Sydney will be able to get the win. Should be a close game though, should be a good game, but these two teams have had some crazy close games in history. The time where Rampy climbed up the post when Essendon went for a goal after the siren and things like that. They've always had very close games. The game where Sydney was 0-6 and then Rowan marks the ball and he gets them into the finals the first time, saying like, yeah, they've had a lot of crazy history. Mark, Rowan, and like, they've had some crazy close games in the past, so this should be quite the same, but the odds are quite close. But yeah, I got Sydney winning. In the first game on Saturday, we got Gold Coast hosting Melbourne at People's First Stadium, and Gold Coast are 12th for $1.36 and Melbourne are 13th, $3.06. And Gold Coast finally got the first away win, which was surprising, but good for them. And Mac Andrew was a game winner. He was the standout forward. He was like the man of the match nearly. Rowan Anderson stood up in that game too, Flanders, and all of them finally won an away game, so good for them. And they're facing Melbourne at home, and Melbourne have lost, I think, their last 4. Melbourne, 3 or 4. Melbourne have been like, they haven't been losing a game by much, but their form's not that good. They've lost to Fremantle by a lot in Perth. They lost to, who else? Let me see what else they lost to my memory. They lost to Western Bulldogs by 51. They lost to GWS by less than a goal. They lost to Port Adelaide less than a goal. So they lost their last 4 games. So, and I think Melbourne aren't that bad, but at the same time as Gold Coast at home, and Gold Coast are like quite nearly invincible at home. So I'll pick Gold Coast. Even though I don't think Melbourne are that bad to lose 5 in a row, but I just think Gold Coast are good enough to get this win and get some wins on the board and push to next year, as we say every year. Make yourself look convincing, I guess. And both of them have nothing. It's like a dead rubber game. They got nothing to play for. But got Gold Coast winning. Then we have GWS hosting Fremantle, and this is the opposite of dead rubber. This is a lot on the line on this game. GWS is hosting at NG Stadium. GWS are the favourites at $1.44, and Fremantle are $2.72, and GWS are 3rd and Fremantle 6th. And a lot riding on this game. If Fremantle lose, they might not make finals. Fremantle have to probably win both their last games unless Carlton loses against the Eagles this week. If Fremantle don't win this and they win next week, I don't think Fremantle have a chance to make the finals. So if they lose this one, which I see happening, but I pick GWS, if they lose this one, they better pray West Coast, their arch rivals, beat Carlton. Because if they lose this week and Carlton win this week, Carlton and Freo fall out. And I don't think Freo can come back in the week after if Carlton win next week too. So a lot of riding on this game. A lot of results have to happen. But for Fremantle to not blind chance, they must win this game to stay in the 8. And GWS, if they lose this, they drop to about 6th. And if GWS loses this game and next week, they don't make the finals either, pending results. So same thing along the line for both teams. I got GWS winning and cementing a top 4, and I got Fremantle losing and possibly falling at the 8 by the end of the round. And crazy to think when Freo have been top 4 most of the year in some really good form. But Freo have lost their last 2 against Geelong, a close loss, Essendon, a close loss. And away, as I said, playing away, they can be shaky and they can drop away games quite often compared to in Perth. So I got GWS winning. And GWS are due for a loss, but they've won their last 6. So every team in a big winning streak is due for a loss. But I just think GWS are better than Fremantle. And if Fremantle go crazy and played like they did at the SCG when they knocked off Sydney when Sydney were in ripping form, it's possible for Fremantle to win, but I have GWS winning. I can't speak English. And this is a hard game to pick too. We got Collingwood hosting Brisbane in the MCG. Collingwood $2.36 and Brisbane $1.59. Brisbane are favourites. They're 5th and Collingwood are 11th. And I have, people might think I'm crazy, but I got Collingwood winning this just because of the MCG factor. And Brisbane have won twice to the MCG the last 10 years, and that's been both against the Melbourne Demons. And I can't see them beating Collingwood no matter the injuries Collingwood has, which is not many. Most of them are coming back. Besides the Goey and Mitchell and Mychek, and most of their team is healthy. Doesn't matter the injuries. And I know Brisbane lost last week and they want to respond, but I have Brisbane losing this one, which probably means they won't make top 4. But obviously I could be wrong. But I got Collingwood winning this one and keeping their finals chances this much. And Collingwood have been playing decently the last few weeks. After that Hawthorn loss, they knocked off Carlton in a close game, and they only lost to Sydney by 3. So I guess Collingwood will have hunger, and they play the G always pretty well, so they'll keep their final chances slimly alive, I think. And I don't know, Brisbane are amazing form, obviously, 9 of the last 10, but I can't see Brisbane going over the MCG hoodoo because they can't win there. There's just a thing where they just can't win there. Like a mental something, I don't know. And they lost to the same team in the grand final last year by 3 points. It shows that they don't have the mental edge to win of the G. Then we got the showdown. Second place Port Adelaide $1.49 against Adelaide 15th $2.64. And I think Adelaide won the last showdown, and they won a few showdowns last year too, or won one of the showdowns last year too. Is Adelaide find a way to beat Port Adelaide no matter the ladder, and Adelaide have made finals for so many years, and Port Adelaide has, but the showdowns always seem to be close. So these odds at $1.49 to $2.64 should be a lot closer, but last showdown, what happened? I'm pretty sure Adelaide won. So, and we know how Adelaide's playing this year. Let's find it. Yeah, look, last showdown, Adelaide won by 30, and Port Adelaide were top 8 at that point, and Adelaide haven't been top 8 all year, so I got Port Adelaide win this showdown. Now I can't see them losing another showdown when top four credentials is on the line, and Adelaide have nothing to play for. And sure, Adelaide has a few good wins recently against Western Bulldogs and GWS and things like that at the Adelaide Oval. But yeah, I got Port Adelaide winning and keeping their top 4 spot. But Port Adelaide are good enough, I guess. And then we have the last game of Saturday. St Kilda hosting Geelong at Marvel Stadium. St Kilda are 14th, $2.55, and Geelong are 4th at $1.52. And Geelong have been in pretty good form. I think 6 of the last 7 they've won now. The only hiccup was against the Bulldogs. And St Kilda have been in decent form too. But they're a bottom team playing for nothing. And yeah, they play Marvel well, but yeah. But St Kilda won 3 of the last 5, but not against good teams. It's Richmond, it's Essendon, it's Eagles. And they lost to Adelaide when they shouldn't have, and they lost to Brisbane not too long ago by nearly 100. So I got Geelong winning this one and keeping their top 4 spot. But if they lose this one, they fall out the top 4. So yeah, I got Geelong winning this one. Geelong should be winning by a big margin too. And St Kilda are missing Ben King and Liam Henry, and every team is injured, but Geelong are just a way better team. And then the first game on Sundays, Western Bulldogs 7th, $1.10, hosting North Melbourne 17th, $7 at Marvel Stadium. And I have Western Bulldogs winning this one and responding from their horrible showing against the Adelaide Crows at Adelaide Oval last week, where they shouldn't have lost. But they'd been winning a lot of games, and that's been their first blip in a while. And you think you can trust Western Bulldogs, and they serve up that crap against Adelaide, and Adelaide aren't a good team. Because of the last 5, Western Bulldogs have won their last 4. They beat Carlton, Geelong, Sydney, Melbourne in the last 4. And then Adelaide, they lost by nearly 40 points. And while North Melbourne have only won 1 of their last 5 games, and that was against Richmond. And North Melbourne couldn't even beat the Eagles at their home ground in Tasmania. So I got Western Bulldogs winning this one comfortably, and we know how well the Western Bulldogs play at Marvel. Seems like other grounds they can't play well, but Marvel they usually play very well. So I got the Western Bulldogs winning this one comfortably and keeping their top 8 spot and maybe moving up to 6 depending on results. And then we have Hawthorn hosting Richmond at the G. Hawthorn are 8th at $1.08 and Richmond are 18th, $8. I mean, it was 8th place versus 18th place, and Hawthorn should be winning this one very comfortably like they did for Dusty 300. They should be winning this by 40 plus because Richmond have nothing to play for. Richmond have tons of injuries. Even Liam Baker's injured and Tom Lynch won't come back. And Richmond aren't a good team this year. They're wooden spoon favourites and they haven't won a game in quite a while. They've been losing games by big margins too. Like the last few, Richmond lost St Kilda 48, Collingwood 26, Port Adelaide 40. So. And while you have Hawthorn won 4 of their last 5, and their only loss in the last 5 weeks was against GWS, a 2-point loss. But they've beaten Carlton by like 74. They beat Adelaide by 66. They beat Collingwood by 66, and they beat Fremantle by 13. So they beat some quality teams. Fremantle in the top 8, Collingwood, Carlton pushing the 8. So I got Hawthorn winning this one and keeping their final spot. But if Hawthorn lose this one, they'd fall out the 8 depending on other results. If Hawthorn don't win their last 2, them making finals is quite a low chance unless they win one, Carlton wins one of their last 2, but Hawthorn wins by a bigger margin than Carlton. That's the only way they can do it, but you can't rely on Carlton losing games, even though they do have a lot of injuries. You got to win your 2 games and make the finals. All they have to do. Beat Richmond this week, beat North next week, and you're top 8. That's all they have to do. So I see them winning this one. There's so much at stake, and it should be a decently big crowd because both of these clubs have big supporter fan bases, and a lot's on the line for Hawthorn, not for Richmond, but definitely for Hawthorn. And they're finally in the 8, so they want to keep the 8 spot, obviously, but they haven't played finals in 6 years, so a lot's on the line for them, so they must win this. It's like an elimination final, basically, just like Carlton was last week. They must win this, and usually they do play pretty well the G, and they stand up to pressure, and it's a bad team. They haven't lost to a team under them all year, basically, so. When Hawthorn have been the higher team, they haven't lost to the lower team, like all year hasn't happened, so I don't see that happening this week either. I have confidence, but hopefully they can beat Richmond, but Richmond are bad, man, so bad. And Dusty's not playing either, Liam Baker's not playing, Tom Lynch is not playing, Grimes is not playing. They got like no one, Richmond, really, besides like Bolton and Bolter and Vlosten. Like, who are the key pillars of this team is there? Not many, so I got Hawthorn winning this one. In the last game on Sunday is the Eagles, $1.85 16th versus Carlton, who are 9th at $2. And Carlton, that last game against Hawthorn was shocking. They lost by 74, but they also got like 5-6 injuries in one game. They lost Curnow, they lost Mackay. They lost a lot of players. Like when they're going to face the Eagles this week in Perth, where the Eagles have a pretty good bill of health, while Carlton are missing so many guys. Like, if we look at the Carlton injuries, this is insane. This is the reason I am picking the Eagles, because the Eagles have been playing better. They won their last 2, and they always play better in Perth than they do away. But the amount of injuries Carlton has is insane. I can't see Carlton kicking a winning score, but Eagles will kick, I think, minimum 11, 12 goals. And if you look at Carlton's injuries, Jordan Boyd injured, Chera injured, Cottrell injured, Curnow injured, De Koning injured, Doherty injured, Durden injured, Fantasia injured, Fogarty injured, Marchbank injured, Martin injured, Mackay injured, Sard injured, Silvani injured. So that's like most of your forwards are injured with Fogarty, Mackay and Curnow. That's 3 of your, basically, I think, some of your leading goal kickers for the year. They're missing. Like, yeah. And then your best ruckman, De Koning's injured, and some of your best defenders, and Doherty's injured, and Jack Barton's a good forward when he's not injured. Sard's a good defender when he's not injured. Chera can be good when he's not injured. So Jordan Boyd's been one of their better defenders recently, but he's injured too. So like half the team's injured. So I really can't see the Eagles not winning this one. I can't see Carlton winning this one, which means Carlton would stay 9th and probably in this final. I could be wrong, obviously. But I think Carlton, the injuries will take a toll, and I just think Carlton will be able to overcome the Eagles. But the Eagles are a bad team, but I just think all the injuries will just hurt. So as we currently speak, Sydney are 1st, Port 2nd, GWS 3rd, Geelong 4th, Brisbane 5th, Fremantle 6th, Western Bulldogs 7th, Hawthorn 8th, Carlton 9th, Essendon 10th, Collingwood 11th, and below that, none of those teams can make finals. And if we go by all my selections this week, we shall see what the ladder looks like. if everything happens like as I predicted, Sydney will still be first, Port Adelaide will still be second, GWS will still be third, Geelong will be fourth, Brisbane will be fifth, Western Bulldogs sixth, Hawthorn seventh, Fremantle eighth, and Carlton ninth, and Collingwood 10th, and Essendon 11th. I think all the results that happen, I think Carlton, Collingwood, and Essendon do have a chance, by a very slight chance. And I don't think Essendon whatsoever, but their percentage is so low. But if Sydney lose to Essendon, Sydney will still stay first. And Gold Coast lose to Melbourne, they just switch positions. Gold Coast go to 13th and Melbourne go to 12th. And if GWS lose to Freo, GWS will go from 3rd to 4th, and Freo will go from 8th to 6th. And if Brisbane beat Collingwood, Brisbane will stay 5th, but Collingwood will go down to 12th. If Port Adelaide lose to Adelaide, Port Adelaide will go from 2nd to 4th, and Adelaide will go from 15th to 4th, 15th to 14th. And if Geelong lose to St Kilda, Geelong will stay 4th, but St Kilda will go up by 1 position. And if Western Bulldogs lose to North, Western Bulldogs will go 8th, from 6th to 8th. And if Hawthorn lose to Richmond, Hawthorn will go to 7th to 8th. And if Carlton beat the Eagles, Carlton will go from 9th to 8th. So yes, lots of things can happen this week. A lot of pending results. A lot of things can happen. But if you want to, all the bottom 8 or the bottom half of the ladder from Hawthorn, Fremantle, Carlton, they all got to win to stay in the 8. That's all they got to. That's their mission. Yes, thank you for listening. Peace.